Yusra's perfect glass wall of plans shatters violently. She screams in terror as her future disintegrates into chaos. The scene opens in Yusra's immaculate, minimalist home office. It is a temple dedicated to absolute order and precision. The lighting is cool, crisp, and bright white, reflecting off polished surfaces and chrome details perfectly. Yusra sits at her desk, which is organized with geometric perfection. Not a single pen is out of place. She is writing in a color-coded planner using a high-quality, heavy ink pen. Her face wears a look of deep satisfaction and confident control. She possesses an almost arrogant sense of certainty about her path. She isn't just planning her week's schedule, she is architecting her entire existence on paper. She reviews her goals: promotion by 28, marriage by 29, dream house by 30. To her, these aren't just hopes or dreams. They are inevitable destinations she will surely reach through will. She believes they are guaranteed by her effort. She believes deeply in one simple, rigid equation: effort plus planning equals guaranteed success, always without fail. She takes a sip of water from a clear glass, feeling secure in her fortress of predictability. The colors are dominated by steel blue and white, while cool gray accents symbolize a life stripped of chaos. She feels like the undisputed captain of her ship, steering it exactly where she wants it to go. She is completely unaware of the storm brewing just ahead. Yusra now stands in front of a large wall calendar hanging prominently in her pristine white hallway. It is a masterpiece of organization and detail, filled with sticky notes and deadlines. Every single task has been met on time, every box checked. She ticks off a major task with a bold black marker. The bold check mark gives her a deep, visceral sense of satisfaction. She smiles, a smile of total self-reliance and pride. She checks her bank account on her phone. The numbers are green and growing steadily. She checks her workout app. All fitness goals are achieved. She feels invincible, insulated from the messiness of life that affects others. She feels protected from the chaos she sees in the world. I have prepared for everything, she thinks, arrogantly to herself. Nothing can catch me off guard now. I am ready. She adjusts her pristine steel blue hijab in the mirror. She admires her reflection in the hallway mirror, which shows a composed, unshakable, successful woman. The background is a blur of static perfection. There is no dust, no clutter anywhere. There seems to be no room for error or divine intervention. She trusts her plan more than the planner. She is walking a straight, paved road, blind to the cliff edge approaching. It is a Tuesday morning, just like any other scheduled day. Yusra is in her car, driving to work, rehearsing a speech for a meeting. Her phone rings loudly, breaking her concentration and the silence. It is an unknown number flashing on the screen. She answers professionally, expecting a new client or colleague. The voice on the other end is flat, cold, and clinical. It brings devastating news that shatters her world in mere seconds. It could be a sudden, unexpected corporate layoff, or perhaps a doctor calling with concerning, life-altering test results. The specific news matters less than the brutal impact. Yusra's face falls, losing all its color instantly. The blood drains from her skin, leaving her ghostly pale. She is left trembling and breathless, gasping for air. She pulls the car over to the side of the road. Her hands shake uncontrollably on the leather steering wheel. The bright, cool morning light suddenly feels harsh and glaring. It offers no comfort, only exposure to her pain. The orderly world she built begins to spin violently. The steel blue palette is suddenly invaded by a jarring tint. A discordant, chaos red tint appears, bleeding into her vision. The straight line of her life is violently severed. She stares at the phone, unable to process the words. "This wasn't in the plan," she whispers, voice cracking. "This wasn't supposed to happen to me. Not now." Back in her apartment, the sanctuary has changed completely. The place of order has become a suffocating prison. Yusra is pacing frantically back and forth across the floor. She is on the phone, making desperate calls. She types furiously on her laptop, seeking answers or solutions. She is trying to fix the unfixable situation with logic. She is trying desperately to outsmart her own destiny. "There must be a mistake," she insists aloud to the empty room. "I can solve this if I just try harder." But every door she pushes is locked tight against her. The rejection letters pile up in her inbox rapidly, or the medical diagnosis is confirmed, again without doubt. Her control is slipping like sand through her fingers. The room feels suffocating and incredibly small, closing in. She sweeps neat stacks of paper onto the floor angrily. It is a burst of pure, raw frustration and fear. The cool white lighting is now replaced by shadows. Shadowy, stormy grays fill the room corners menacingly. Flashes of panic red distort her vision and perception. Her confident posture is completely gone now, replaced by fear. She looks small, frantic, and utterly terrified in her home. She is fighting a massive, invisible riptide alone. She swims harder, but is pulled out further to sea. The realization is dawning on her slowly and painfully. It is a terrifying, cold, paralyzing realization of helplessness. She is not the one in charge here anymore. Her hands grip her head in absolute despair. Her perfect hijab is now slightly disheveled and loose. The chaos she feared has breached the walls. Yusra stands rigidly on her plush velvet prayer mat in the center of her living room. She is attempting to pray, but it is not an act of submission. It is an act of desperate, angry negotiation with the divine. Her posture is tense, her shoulders locked tight near her ears. She raises her hands in dua, but her eyes are squeezed shut in frustration. She is bargaining fiercely with Allah. "I did everything right," she whispers fiercely into the heavy silence. "I worked harder than anyone. I prayed on time. I gave charity. Why is this happening to me?" She treats her faith like a business contract that has been breached. She lists her good deeds like payments made on an insurance policy. She expects the calamity to be reversed immediately as a refund. The cool, spiritual blue light of the room has warped sickly. It has turned into a murky, agitated, suffocating gray fog. Her heart is full of why instead of trust. She feels betrayed by the very order she worshipped. She recites verses about patience mechanically, but they taste like dry ash in her mouth today. She doesn't want patience. She wants her perfect plan back. She wants the control she lost. The prayer ends, but she feels absolutely no peace. She feels only a burning, righteous indignation at the unfairness of her Qadar. She rolls up the mat aggressively, rejecting the comfort it offers. Days blur into weeks, and Yusra's fortress of order crumbles physically. The scene shows her apartment, once a museum of minimalism, descending into chaos. Piles of unwashed laundry occupy the sleek designer chairs. Greasy takeout boxes clutter the pristine granite kitchen counters. The blinds are drawn tight, blocking out the sun completely. It creates a permanent, gloomy, suffocating twilight indoors. Yusra sits amidst the mess, still in her pajamas at noon. She stares blankly at her laptop screen, which shows zero progress. The steel blue color palette has completely rotted away. It has turned into a murky, depressive, stormy gray shadow. The visual perfection she maintained was a reflection of her inner state. Now that her internal control is gone, her external world collapses. She refuses to answer calls from concerned friends or family. She isolates herself completely in her misery and shame. She feels that if she cannot present her perfect self, she will present no one. The silence of the apartment is heavy, stagnant, and suffocating. Dust motes dance in the gray light, mocking her previous cleanliness. She is grieving not just a job or a health issue. She is grieving the death of her identity as the capable one. The climax arrives on a dark, violent, stormy afternoon. Yusra is frantically searching for an important document amidst the mounting clutter. She knocks over a stack of heavy books in her haste. A crystal vase of water shatters loudly against the hardwood floor. It is a small accident, but it unleashes a hurricane. Yusra screams, a raw, primal sound of absolute fury and helplessness. She sweeps everything off her desk with a violent arm motion. Her expensive planner, the symbol of her control, hits the wall. It falls open, pages crumpled and torn, lying in the water. She falls to her knees in the middle of the wreckage. She begins sobbing uncontrollably, her body shaking with the force of it. The lighting in the room shifts dramatically and instantly. It turns into a chaotic, flashing alarm red mixed with deep shadows. The storm outside lashes rain furiously against the windows. It mirrors the raging tempest inside her shattered soul perfectly. She picks up the broken pieces of the vase, trembling. She cuts her finger slightly on a sharp shard of glass. The drop of bright red blood on her hand stares back. It is a stark reminder of her fragility and mortality. "I can't fix this," she sobs, her voice breaking. "I can't fix any of this anymore." The illusion of the self-made woman dies on that floor. She realizes with terrifying clarity that she is small, she is weak and utterly powerless against the decree of God. Exhausted and drained by her outburst, Yusra drags herself to the bathroom. She needs to wash the small cut on her trembling hand. She looks up, slowly, into the large, well-lit vanity mirror. The woman staring back at her is a complete stranger. Her eyes are red-rimmed, swollen, and dark with exhaustion. Her skin is pale and sallow. Her hijab is gone, revealing hair that is messy and unkempt. But more importantly, the mask of composed perfection is entirely gone. She sees the raw, naked, terrified fear in her own eyes. She sees a human being who tried to play God. She tried to control her own life and failed miserably. The harsh bathroom light exposes every flaw, every crack in her armor. Behind her reflection, in the mirror's view, she sees the apartment. It is a chaotic reflection of her messy, broken life. It is a picture of absolute defeat and surrender. But in that defeat, there is a strange, painful truth. You are not the master, a voice inside her whispers. You are just the servant. The realization hurts, like a bone being set back into place. The rigidity of her ego finally snaps under the pressure. She slumps against the sink, no longer fighting the reality. She surrenders to the pain and the lack of control. The chaos red light begins to fade slowly. It leaves a dark, empty canvas behind. She is ready to be rebuilt. But first, she had to be completely dismantled. Yusra washes her face with cold water, gasping softly. She walks slowly back to her prayer mat. She does not march with her old arrogance. She moves with profound humility. She steps onto the velvet mat, head bowed low, feeling the texture ground her. This time, she does not raise her hands to bargain or demand answers. She raises them to surrender completely, utterly to Him. Ya Allah, she whispers, her voice trembling with raw emotion. I am tired of fighting you. I am exhausted from trying to be God in my own life. She falls into sujud, forehead pressing firmly into the ground, grounding her scattered soul. She weeps, but it is a release, a cleansing rain, not rage. I trust you, she sobs quietly into the wrapping silence. You are the best of planners, and I am just a servant with limited sight. The angry red light in the room fades away, dissolved by her tears. A soft, warm, amber glow begins to fill the corners, chasing away the shadows. The suffocating pressure in her chest finally releases, leaving room to breathe. She feels small, but held securely by a great power. She realizes her broken plan was actually a golden cage. The destruction was not a punishment, but necessary to set her free. Yusra sits up, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. She reaches for the heavy, leather-bound Qur'an on the low table, her hands still shaking slightly. She opens it randomly, yet purposefully, seeking a word of comfort to anchor her drifting heart. Her eyes fall immediately on Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 216. But perhaps you hate a thing, and it is good for you. The words seem to shimmer on the page, alive with vibration and meaning. And perhaps you love a thing, and it is bad for you. She reads the final, decisive line, and Allah knows while you know not. The absolute truth of it washes over her like cooling rain on parched earth. She realizes her limited human vision cannot see the panoramic picture of her destiny. What she screamingly called a disaster might be a profound protection she cannot yet understand. What she called a devastating loss might be a divine redirection towards something better. The stormy gray shadows in the room evaporate completely. A beautiful, brilliant, divine light floods the entire space. It is warm, golden, and filled with absolute peace. She clutches the book to her chest, finally breathing deeply. She accepts that she does not need to know the why anymore. She only needs to know the who is in control. The next morning, Yusra wakes up with a new energy. She does not rush to check her email immediately. Instead, she opens the blinds wide to the sun. Sunlight streams in, illuminating the mess in the room. She begins to clean, but calmly, without frantic panic. She picks up the broken vase pieces carefully. She throws away the crumpled pages of her master plan. As she clears the physical clutter, her mind clears too. She takes the giant wall calendar down from the hallway. She erases the rigid timelines and the demanding deadlines. It feels terrifying, but incredibly liberating to see white space. The apartment begins to breathe again, open and airy. The color palette shifts to warm amber and soft cream. The environment reflects her newfound internal state of surrender. She is making space for destiny to unfold naturally. She is no longer forcing life into a box. She moves with the flow, not against the current. Yusra sits at her desk, which is tidy but not sterile. She looks at her laptop, applying for a different job. Or perhaps she is researching a new path entirely. She is planning, but she is tying her camel. She does the work, but leaves the outcome to Allah. A visual metaphor appears around her in the room. The shattered glass shards from the hook begin to rise. They float in the air, glowing with soft gold. They do not reform into the old, rigid wall. Instead, they assemble into a beautiful, intricate, colorful mosaic. It is a stained glass window of breathtaking complexity and beauty. It lets the light in instead of blocking it out. She realizes her life is not broken. It is being rearranged. It is being crafted into something better than she planned. She smiles, a genuine smile of trust and tawakkul. She feels a profound sense of safety in the uncertainty. She is exactly where she is meant to be. A few weeks later, Yusra walks down a busy city street. She is not running against the clock anymore. She is walking with a steady, graceful purpose. She wears a soft cream hijab and a relaxed, elegant coat. She stops to smell a flower in a shop window or help someone with a heavy door, small acts she never had time for before. She is fully present in the moment, not living anxiously in the future. Her phone rings in her pocket. It is news about the job application, or maybe just a friend. She answers it calmly, without the old, sickening spike of adrenaline or anxiety. Whether the news is a rejection or an offer, she accepts it with immediate grace and a smile. She has found a job, or perhaps healing has begun, but she knows her peace does not depend on this external success. Her peace comes from her deep, unbreakable connection to the planner of all events. The world around her is vibrant, colorful, and alive, no longer a gray blur of deadlines. She is no longer fighting the wind, she is sailing with it. She looks up at the vast open sky and whispers, Alhamdulillah, for everything, the gain and the loss. She is grateful for the crash that woke her up. She has lost her rigid plan, but she has found her limitless faith. Yusra sits comfortably in her warm, sunlit living room, her posture relaxed and her face radiating a genuine, deep-seated happiness. She looks directly into the camera lens with kind, knowing eyes that have witnessed the darkness of despair and emerged into the light. We spend so much of our precious energy exhausting ourselves, trying desperately to micromanage and control every single tiny detail of our lives, she says softly, her voice steady and filled with profound empathy. We write our rigid plans in stone and then shatter into a million painful pieces when they inevitably fail or shift. She pauses, leaning forward with a gentle, encouraging smile. But remember this truth. The pen has already lifted, and the pages have dried long ago. Your stress, your anxiety, and your sleepless nights will not change a single atom of what is written for you. Only sincere dua has the power to change destiny, and only sabr can heal your heart while you wait. She places a hand gently on her heart. When life hits you hard, don't ask the victim's question, why me? Ask the believer's question. Where are you guiding me, Ya Allah? What are you protecting me from? Trust the planner. His plan is always beautiful, wise, and perfect in the end, even if it hurts right now. Let go of the steering wheel, surrender your fears to him, and let him drive you home.